Welcome to the Finding and Managing Policies series in EZU. In this course, you will learn how to add manual policies to the EZLynx system, whether monoline or package. So, let's dive in. To begin, open a customer's account. You can add a new, manual policy from either the Overview tab or Policies tab within the customer's account in EZLynx. When adding a manual policy from the Overview tab, click on the Actions drop-down menu on the top right, then click Add Policy. If doing so from the Policies tab, click on the Add Policy button at the top right. Using the Add Policy manual option is ideal when you quote a customer on the carrier site and the carrier either doesn't support downloads or you don't receive downloads in EZLynx. The workflow is the same whether it's a monoline, package, personal, or manual commercial policy. Additionally, you can create a manual policy from an existing application and certain details will pre-fill for you. This is ideal when you need to create accord applications to get quotes, especially for commercial business. You'll save time and energy by simply converting the application to a policy in EZLynx. While the system will pre-fill certain details based on the application, you will still need to enter the policy number, carrier information, and other details pertaining to the policy sold. To learn how to create a manual policy from an existing application, watch How to Remarket Policies with Convert to Application/Policy video. We'll start by discussing the steps of adding a monoline manual policy. After selecting Add Policy from the Overview or Policies tab, the Add Policy window appears. Fill in each field starting with the line of business. Our current example is for a monoline policy, so choose only one for now, like auto or homeowners. To see a list of supported lines of business, you can read the Applications, Supported Lines of Business Entry Screens article. Notice the Pre-fill from option. This drop-down allows you to select an application or policy from which the system will pre-fill information for you, based on the application or policy. Since we're creating a manual policy, the application choice would make the most sense in this case. If you don't have an application generated, don't worry, you can do this after creating the policy. At Transaction Type, select a choice from the drop-down menu. I'll use New Business as the transaction type, as if this is a brand new policy for the customer. Next, enter the policy number exactly as it appears on the carrier's site. The following fields correlate to the effective and expiration dates. Make sure each date is correct, according to the terms stated on the policy. Next, choose the master, then writing company. The billing type field will appear if your agency has our accounting product. For the billing type, you have two options, agency or direct bill payment. Agency bill is when the customer pays your agency and the agency pays the carrier on behalf of the customer, whereas direct bill is when the customer pays the premium directly to the carrier. While agency bill is associated with the EZLynx accounting product, direct bill is associated with the EZLynx commissions product. Go ahead and select which option suits your agency's needs. The following drop-down is for the rating state, which is the state in which the policy is being written. The next field is the LOB origination date, which comes pre-filled for you. Make sure the policy's origination date is correct before moving forward. If it's incorrect, click on the highlighted date to change it. Please note that changing the LOB origination date may affect other aspects of the customer's policy. The next three fields are for producer and agency codes, which are very important in terms of commissions. In the producer code override field, you'll enter the code you use in EZLynx to claim your commissions. Please note that the service team and commission rules should be set up beforehand by the agency admin. For information on how to do that, watch the video Commissions for Admins, Creating Your Service Team and Commissions Rules. The agency code field is where you'd put the agency's code, if applicable. This is typically used if an agency prefers to funnel all commissions through the agency first, then divvy them out accordingly. If commissions are done manually and not through EZLynx, this would be the preferred method. Otherwise, the best practice is to utilize individual producer codes by using the producer code override field. To learn more about commissions, you can watch the EZLynx YouTube Commissions playlist, specifically the video on how to apply commissions rules to applicants and policies. Moving to the top of the next column is the written premium field. This is where you'll enter the policy's written premium, excluding fees and taxes. The next two fields are for estimated fees and taxes. Regardless of whether your agency has the EZLynx accounting product, you'll want to enter an estimate of the policy's fees and taxes. The system will calculate and pre-fill the full term and annual premium fields for you, but you should still review them for accuracy. The last field in this column is for total commission. The drop-down to the right of the field allows you to choose whether it's a set dollar amount or a percentage. While most agencies use percentage, there may be one-off situations that would be better suited with a set dollar amount. Double-check that the total commission is correct before moving forward. The first drop-down in the last column is for department. This will pre-fill depending on the line of business you select but can be modified. Departments can be managed by an admin, and you can learn more about that process by watching the Manage Departments video. Since this example is for a personal auto policy, I'll select the department for personal lines. Lastly is the service team section. Make sure your commission rules match a service team member here, and that it displays the correct percentage and dollar amount. To learn more about commission rules, watch How to Apply Commissions Rules to Applicants and Policies video. The final box is to enter a description if you'd like. This field can be helpful if there are any special notes to make about the policy, commissions, or producer. As soon as you've reviewed your answers to ensure they're correct, click Add and Edit Policy at the bottom of the page. Clicking this button will redirect you to the entry screens, where the system will guide you through entering the details of the policy. To learn more about policy entry screens, watch our manual applications video. Now, we'll review an example of a manual package policy. Ultimately, the process is the same as a monoline policy, but with a few small differences. We'll use a commercial package for this example. Notice, at the top you'll see the line of business drop-down set to commercial package and the subline of business under that. You'll need to select at least 2 different sublines in the drop-down menu. If there are more than 2 sublines, click Add Line of Business to select additional sublines. For this example, I'll choose General Liability and Commercial Property. If there is already an existing policy or application for one or more of the policies in the package, you can select them from the application/policy to pre-fill from drop-down menu. Doing so will pre-fill details for the chosen application or policy. When pre-filling multiple LOBs, you can select which policy is the primary LOB, and the system will populate the shared information, such as insured information and address. To remove a subline of business, click on Remove next to the policy you want to remove from the package. Once you're finished, you can click Hide Lines of Business to collapse the subline section. As soon as you click Add and Edit Policy, you'll land on the entry screens. The only other difference between adding a monoline versus package policy are the screens you see here. At the top of the first entry screen, you'll see a tab for each subline you selected on the previous page. For my example, I have a tab for General Liability and Commercial Property. You'll need to go through all entry screens for each subline you've chosen. Once you complete the details for the first subline in the package, the system will guide you through the next one, and so on. To learn more about policy entry screens and how to convert a policy into an application, watch the manual applications video. That is all for this EZU course. You should now have the knowledge and skills to add monoline and package policies manually in EZLynx. Thanks for watching.